everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Also, because we are simulcasting, want to welcome those tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Glad you all could be with us. I'm really excited about today's guest. I want to make sure on the Amazon side, if you haven't done so already, you guys hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. Also, you will see some of the books from our next guest. We're excited to welcome award-winning author Ben Burgess Jr. to our broadcast. He's celebrating his brand new book, Mothers, Volume 1. You guys see it there. Want to talk to Ben not only about his amazing writing journey, but also what's been like for him to see his love of storytelling being rewarded. And of course, what you all can expect from this really captivating book as well. Ben, hello to you and welcome to the broadcast, man.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, glad to do it. I was just saying, you and I have had conversations on the radio show before, but this is our first on-camera conversation, so excited about this. Let's begin where we are, though, Ben. Here we are. You celebrating the release of Mothers Volume 1. What has it been like for you to see the love already coming to the new book?
It's unbelievable. I love seeing that it's being received so well. It makes me happy. I wanted this book to really change the world, and right now, slowly but surely, I feel like those who are reading it are really getting that experience. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. One thing you've become known for, Ben, because I've read, of course, other books of yours, and I want to say for our audience on Amazon, you guys will see some of those books over there, Defining Moments. Have it highlighted for you guys over there in the carousel. You guys can see that. Monster, another great one from Ben, Love and Happiness, is also in the carousel. The thing about you, Ben, is that you've been able to write stories that bring people into the stories, but also there's storylines that are relatable, whether we're talking about things dealing with the family, like we see in Mothers, things dealing with what happens on the job, the elements when it comes to law enforcement and issues of race. Is that kind of what inspires you as a storyteller, kind of looking at real world events?
Well, yeah, I definitely like to write books that are relatable, that everybody can pretty much feel their experience.
Mm-hmm.
But with everything, I also try to improve on race relations. There's a huge stigma when it comes to African American fiction, where people feel that it's only for African Americans. But I try to write the books in a way that everyone can see that they can relate to the characters. So that's my main goal. Like, I feel like with a lot of things, we look too much at our differences and not enough at the things that we have in common. So if we want to help change the way that literature is received, like how it's perceived, we have to be able to look at other genres and accept them and read them as well.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think we are living in times that are fascinating in some ways. Definitely there's been progress made, right? But there's so many things that I think many people, myself included, are still surprised that are big sticking points. The interesting thing though and I'll just take two books in particular that I kind of thought about when it comes to a book like Defining Moments, Ben, and now Mothers. I think the book has these characters that are not only relatable, but people see themselves in. So I want to talk about kind of the inception for you, because Mothers really is, for me, the story that so many people can relate to, right? Of dealing with senseless violence, the aftermath, those who have to pick up the pieces, and those who are left behind to not only to keep living, but to take care of the family. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, it is the mothers. How did the idea for Mothers Volume 1, how did it come about?
I wanted a story to one that would show that just because you live in the projects doesn't mean that like there's nothing that's good that comes out of the projects, or that there aren't good people that live in the projects. I also wanted a book that showed the strength that a lot of mothers have to go through.
Yeah.
There are different types of single mothers. It's not just, oh, my baby daddy left me or something like that. And you see that with the characters. With Juanita, she is a widow. With Tracy, her husband did leave her. With Debbie, she is a sickly mother raising a child on her own. So it's to show different perspectives and show that being a single mother isn't just minority thing. It comes in every shape and size and race. So I wanted something to show the strength of mothers. I wanted to show that just because you live in the projects doesn't mean that you're not educated or that you don't care about your community or you're not hardworking. And I wanted to get rid of a lot of stigmas. So that's why I felt this book was needed.
Yeah, definitely. Tracy Carzell is joining us on the Facebook side. She says hello, hello to you, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think to that point, though, and again, it goes to one of the themes you become known for, Ben, and that is writing stories where different people can see themselves in the story, right, in some aspect. Because again, the things you just outlined that Mother shows are things again that so many people can relate to. I want to talk about more broadly, though, because you are someone who's been able to have your work recognized, not just by readers, but also, of course, when it comes to awards. Uh, when did the gift for storytelling, when did that become clear for you, Ben? When did you know that storytelling was a gift you had been given?
Um, when I was in, I believe it was 8th grade, I had a teacher, Ms. Ladd Marcus, and she gave us an assignment where we had to write a poem about something we were passionate about. And I wrote a poem about basketball. She was like, you have a real talent for this and you can't let it go to waste. And she was like, I'm going to be on you. And I'm seriously, I want you to really do something with this talent. You got to write a book or something. So, like she did. She was on my case. She always made sure that my grades were up, and she made sure that I followed through with everything. And in 2008, I wrote my first book, which was a poetry book. Times have changed and life is strange. The fun fact about that, it's actually the title is a lyric from a Wu-Tang song. Can it be all so simple? So I wrote that poetry book, and it's a niche book, so I didn't expect much from it. But when I was doing spoken word poetry, like everyone was like, "Man, this one poem you wrote, if you wrote a book about that, that would be something." And I didn't really feel like I was a novel writer. I'm like, I don't really write novels, but I'll try it out. So I was tinkering with the novel here and there, and I was working on it, and my excuse was that I never finished the book because I never had enough time. I was always busy, but I got injured at work, and now I had nothing but time. So I wrote the novel, and my first novel was Monster. Um, Fun fact: Eric Jerome Dickey knew that I was writing the book, and I told him that I was writing the book at Borders at a book signing. He gave me his email address, and he told me that when I published my book, he'd be the first one to support it. And as soon as I reached out to him when I published it, sure enough, he was the first one to support it, and I went on from there.
Wow. And that says a whole lot, Ben, because there you have someone who is already in the industry showing their support. Was that added encouragement or incentive for you for a gift you already knew you had to have someone who was in the industry kind of validate that gift?
Yes, absolutely. Him, Eric Jerome Dickey, and Richard Wright are the reasons why I write now. Richard Wright was the first author that I realized that I wanted to have an impact on people's lives the way his book Native Son had on me. Eric Jerome Dickey, his topics, his dialogue and stuff like that. Like I knew I wanted to write books like that I felt could be relatable and could move people. So those two were the main people the reason why I write today.
Wow. And now here you are with a book like Mothers, and we're going to dive more into this. But I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the Amazon Live side or those joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're excited to welcome award-winning author Ben Burgess Jr. to our broadcast. He's celebrating his newest book. You guys see it there, Mothers, Volume 1. The other great thing you were able to do, I love this, Ben, is that you have the book covers of your other books on the back. I want to talk about that because, I mean, I think it's so important for us to celebrate every milestone. What has it been like for you to know that you've been able to, with every book, been able to read readers from literally around the world?
Again, it's a dream come true. Like it's something I always wanted to do. It's something that makes me happy. I like knowing that my books have impacts on people and can bring out emotion out of them. So it's amazing, an amazing feeling.
Talk to me. I mean, is there a mother in the book? I want to talk to you about Juanita, but is there a mother in the book in particular that really stood out to you, Ben, when you're writing it?
Um, Juanita is somewhat based on my own mother.
Mm,
So at points, I was a latchkey kid. At points, my mother needed to work all the time to take care of us. So I used some of that as inspiration to write her character.
mm. I was drawn to Juanita. See, I didn't even know that part, but I was drawn to Juanita because, I think one of the misconceptions that get thrown at a lot of women is that they're just, just thirsting after a man or just wanting a man. Juanita was not someone who was just trying to bring somebody somebody in, right? I mean, and I think that was an interesting thing because I think it breaks this book. I think in many ways, Ben, it breaks down a lot of stereotypes that people have about women, and like you mentioned earlier as to why they're in the situation they're in, but also what they're looking for. So, what was that like for you to show that even when they came to not just what they were dealing with in the home, but just in their lives, how these different women had different ways of going about what they wanted for their lives and for their families?
Well, writing this book, I'm not a woman, so I needed to talk to a lot of women who are single mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And by interviewing them, I talked to them and I tried to really nail down the voice of how they feel. I tried to
Mm-hmm.
really get into that and touch on things that I feel haven't really been touched on in literature.
Right.
So that's the main point with that, is to really drive home the points that I feel aren't really talked about.
Got you. Chambers, hello to you. Good to be able to see you, Chambers. He's joining us on the YouTube side. Glad you could join us, Chambers. We're speaking to author Ben Burgess Jr. today on our broadcast about his newest book, Mother's Volume 1. So, of course, I have to ask you more about that, Ben, here in a bit about uh, what you hope kind of comes from this collection. So, well, let's talk about support, because one of the things you've been able to do, and I'm going to be posting mine this week, a picture with the book. You've been able to have people sharing the book, whether it's in print like I have or the Kindle edition. What has that been like for you to see the love coming in and people want to be able to help you spread the word?
Well, it's a great feeling because it knows that you do have that support, you do have that love, you do have the people who believe in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're supporting what you're doing and they have faith in what you're doing. So for me, it's an unbelievable feeling. So some of them I've known for years. Some of them I've met as I've been writing, but the fact that they're still with me and they're still supporting me means a lot, and I appreciate every one of them that post a picture with one of my books or something like that.
Yeah. So for yourself, not only of course, and I want to mention this, I don't want to give too much away, but even though the book is called Mother's Volume 1, we actually hear from children as well. Talk to us about Jalen, Ben, and what it's like for you, kind of sharing Jalen's story and experiences.
Well, for Jalen, I feel like Jalen is angry and he's rebellious, and I feel like for the age that he is, for the things that he's been through, his voice was needed and telling the story. It wouldn't be complete if it was just her. It needed that extra voice of what he was going through as a child, what he's thinking about, so that mothers who are reading it can say, I never looked at it from that perspective. Maybe I am just looking at it from a mother or a parent, and I'm not looking at it to see how he feels or what he's thinking or why he's angry. So for that, I felt that that was necessary. Again, I based it off of some of my own experiences. Um, I'm actually a NYPD detective. So some of it is based off of experiences that I had in law enforcement and stuff like that.
Mm. And I think, for a lot of people out there, as they're kind of looking at this, Ben, I think that is one thing you've been able to do. You've been able to write these conversation pieces in your work, and that's what makes it so fascinating. I think, for people too. What was your hope, though? Because the book is at times entertaining, definitely engaging, but I think it also is a snapshot to the world of so many that a lot of times we may not think about if it's not our own world. What did you hope that Mothers Volume 1 would do?
One, I wanted it to improve race relations. Two, I wanted it to be that book where you're gonna talk about it. I want people to talk. I want people to think, how would they handle that situation? How would they deal with the frustration of being a single mother who's working a job she hates to try to provide for her two children, one of which is sickly. Um, a lot of times we might see that story of a single mother, working a job and taking care of her kids, but to have a child that's sickly on top of that, it's another ball game. Um, it's a struggle. It's hard work. I wanted people to see that. I wanted to see that even if you live in the projects, that you could still take pride in where you live. It doesn't matter if you live there in the projects. Some people live out of circumstances. Some people live out of comfort, but there are still good people that live there, good educated people that live there. Um, I used to live in the projects. I actually lived in Queensbridge projects, which is where the book takes place. Um, I have family that still lives in the project, so I'm very fond of those type of areas, and I'm very defensive of when people talk negatively about those areas. Because while I've moved on from living in that area, I still know where I came from. I remember where I came from, and I take care of where I came from. So that's important to me, and that's what I felt the book needed to show too.
And to that point, then, Ben, I'm so glad you said that. To that point, um, did you go into this thinking about more than just a book? Because again, it's called Mothers Volume 1. So do you see this as something that will be a continuation that you want to explore?
Yes, one day, like with everything, I'm trying to make the books into films. So that's a major goal of mine. But for Mother's Volume 2, spoiler alert, but for Mother's Volume 2, it's going to be a continuation of my novel Daddy's Girl, A Father's Sacrifice. So, in that book, that Lynn, the main character in that book, she was abandoned by her white mother. So, um, I'm sorry if anybody, no, people haven't read the book yet, but at the end of the book, the mother actually goes to her wedding. So that sets off a chain reaction. Like before, it was out of sight, out of mind. She didn't think about her daughter, but now that she saw her and she realized that she's a grown woman who's accomplished so much and she's getting married now, she realizes that she made a mistake. So while she's talking to the father and she's like, listen, I made a mistake. I want to try to make things better. Can I have her address so I can talk to her in person? And he was like, sure. So he gives her the address and she's sitting in a car and she's about to ring the doorbell to talk to her daughter. While this is happening, Lynn is taking a pregnancy test and she realized that she's pregnant. So again, this is why it's Mother's Volume 2, because one, it's an expecting mother. It's a expecting mother. It's a biological mother, and Rhea from who was her aunt was her surrogate mother. So it shows three different types of motherly situations.
Wow.
With Mother's Volume 1, again, you have the mother that was a widow. You have a mother who was abandoned by her baby's father, and you have a mother that was sickly. So you have three different perspectives of mothers. So
Right.
that's why it's going to be Mother's Volume 2.
Interesting. That gives us something to look forward to for sure. So, in the interim, though, you all need to make sure you pick up Mother's Volume 1, then. You all can get it here on Amazon now, as well as other books from Ben Burgess. Again, make sure you guys do pick them up so you'll be ready for when Mother's Volume 2 comes out. So, you'll be all caught up. Ben, a really great conversation with me. I'm so excited we had a chance to chat. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Um, you can join my Facebook fan book page. You can join my Amazon. You can follow me on Amazon. You can email me at author Ben Burgess Jr. at gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at BennyB15. I'm on everything. I'm on Instagram, same thing. So any social media, I'm pretty much on it. I'm even on TikTok.
Okay. All right. So
And
we've
on
already
the back,
tagged. I'm sorry.
on
Go
the
ahead, man.
back of the book, there's a QR code, and
Mhm.
on the QR code you can scan that, and that'll show you all of my social medias and ways to contact me.
Yeah. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Ben, congratulations to you again. As I mentioned, I'll be writing my review for Amazon. I invite anyone else who's already read the book. Make sure you guys do that as well. And Ben, looking forward to our next chat together, man.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me.
Oh, man, glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for being with us. Make sure you guys do pick up Ben's new book, Mother's Volume 1. Until next time, you all make it a great one. Take care.